Hello everyone, and in this video we're going to continue working with the servers. In this video we're going to basically load all the servers in our sidenav, basically the servers that we created or the servers that we are member, right? So let's start right away and let's open our home app here. Well, the first thing that we need to do, we need to create the service to get all the servers, right? If we go to our server here, we created in our API, we created our request here. Here we make a query, and then we filter the servers that are we're a member or the server that we just created, right? So let's start right away with the service. And again, export const get sidenav servers. This one, take a token, right? Just like that. Okay, and then we can just copy this one. Let's copy this one. Let's paste it here. And then let's copy this promise. Paste it here. So this is not the URL. The URL is server get servers. Let's double check in the URLs here. Yeah, get servers. So get servers, and we don't need to pass any ID. And that's it. Now let's create another one. Let's call it get server data. Let's copy this. Let's just copy this whole thing. Get server data. And for the server data, we need the ID. And this ID will be basically the server ID. If we go to the URLs, we can see we created that one, like get server detail. With this URL. And just paste it here. And so yeah, for this one, yes, we need the ID, so let's just put it like that. The ID, and that's it. Pretty much. Let's save that. Okay, we got our services. Now let's open home, and we need to make some modification here. We don't need these ones. Let's just delete them. First, let's create like a state. So let's call it sidenav servers. Just like that. Let's put it like sidenav servers. And here set sidenav. Just like that. Set sidenav servers. We open one of these layouts. No. Yeah, let me just copy this one. Oops. Use a state. Here, an empty array. Use the initializer with an array. Okay, so we got the synapse, and also we need to create one. We will call it active server, and then set active server. This one can be empty. So why do we need the active server? Because we want to be able to, when we click in our sidenav in one of the servers, we want to call like this service that we created here. Sorry, this server service that we created here to get the data, and we need to pass this information to our server's nav and our server. But how we do that? Very easy. So here we name it like servers. This basically will be the parameter that we're passing, right? Or the data that we're passing to the component as like props. So here we pass the servers, just like that. That way for the server nav, and also we need to pass the to the servers now. We need to pass the function to active the server. So let's pass the set active server equals set active server, because in the servers now we want to be able to basically click on the servers and load the informations, right? So that's what we need to pass the function here as props. Okay, so we got the servers, the sign-up servers, and the active server. So here in servers, we need to pass, you guessed it, we need to pass the sign-up servers. We can just copy this one, and you will see how we can call them. And also we need to pass the active server. Active server equals active server, like that. Check curly braces. Okay, so we passed that. Let's close that. So now let's open our servers nav, and in here we want to render or get all the the servers, right? So here we need to say like props here in our function, and basically here it's basically saying that we're getting like arguments or properties, right? Just like that. And this is what we're gonna do. Let's first, we need to render all the servers, right? So here under lead, it's like that. Let's put a key, remember. And then here we're going to use the mapping, right? And this is very simple, you remember this. So for this one, we're going to use props dot, and if we go to our home, which is the props that we're using? Servers, right? So we're going to call it here servers that we're passing to our component here, right? Servers dot map servers, and then the arrow. Oops, just like that. We can put this one inside our lead, just like that. We can move the lead a little bit, okay? So here we're mapping our lead. Okay. Server, and then here we can, key will be server.id. Okay. We can copy this as tile. So it basically kind of like stays the same, right? Just like that. And in here, inside we're gonna have a figure. That's part of the CSS framework that I'm using, which is Pullman. And then class name will be image is 64 by 64. Okay. And then here we're gonna have a link. It's going to have a picture inside. The picture is going to contain an ID. Let's just pass the server ID for the picture, and then source will be server.picture. And class name, we can put it's rounded, just like that. Okay, so we haven't finished it, but here in our link, we're going to have a function that basically set the server that's been activated when we click on the server. So let's just save that. We can do that right now. So let's create, so here, let's start with that, yeah. So let's create a new state. Let's call it active server CSS, and then set if server CSS. And here use state. Let's set it to null. But what are we doing then? So in our, we want to be able to when we click on those like little images, to be able to create like a round like an overlay or something that tells us that the server is activated, right? So we need to, that's what we're doing, that just to make sure that when we click on that, we set the overlay. So something very important that we need to do, we need to let's go to our static, and then here we need to create a new folder. Let's call it CSS. And inside this folder, we're going to have a new file called style.css. Just like that. And this one is just basically like a custom like CSS file. We're going to have a active image, just like that, like a class. And then here we're going to have a border of 5 pixels with like solid color of solid RGB. Let's choose RGB. And let's do the color 0, 243, and 0. Just like that. That'll be our color. Let's save that. Let's open it again. Oops. Okay. This is basically for the or we can choose, let me see. Solid red, or we can choose this color. Yeah, just like that. Okay. We can close that and we can save it. Okay. This is basically our custom CSS file. So we need to open our template, and we need to open our base HTML file, our template here, and in here we need to add our custom CSS file that we haven't added here. So basically here we put link or link, and then here we put static CSS slash style.css. That's the name of the file. Pretty much know how to do it, like how to add these files. Type CSS. You can just copy this one. Same thing. Media, screen, projection. And here we basically select that. Okay, we imported our custom CSS file. Make sure that you're loading static here. Let's save that. Okay, so with that CS file, we need to basically add to the pictures. Then when we click on in one of them, that's why we have the active server here. So when we click on one of them, we basically put that overlay on that. Okay. So here, let's just create a function. Let's call it handle click. This will take a parameter. And the event, right? Just like that. Let's put some comments here so we don't forget. Load the set the active server overlay. Okay. So here we need to remember that to the server's nav, we're passing the function of set active server. So here in props set active server, we're going to pass the parameter that we're getting here. And what will be the parameter? Of course, that will be the ID of the server. Okay. And here, make a conditional. If active server CSS is different than null, going to document get element by ID, and then here we pass the active server, because basically the active server, we're passing the ID of the server that's being activated. And then here class list that remove the class that we have active ing. Okay, that's if it's different than null. So we do that just in case we have a server active. We want to remove it to be able to assign it to the other one, right? And then here we assign it. So document get element by ID. We pass the parameter, which is basically the ID, right? Class list that add, and you guessed it, we pass the active ing. Okay. And then here, set active server, we need to pass the parameter, right? Easy. Let me put it like this. This function allows the user click on the sidenav servers to change the value on set active server. Okay. So this is how it's going to work. When we click on one of these pictures, we're going to set the active server to that ID, and we're going to add to that to sidenav. We're going to have the active image class that we just created. In that class adds an overlay to the picture. Also, we set the active server to the ID in our props. Basically, that's what this function does. And we can go here in our link and put on click. We pass the function handle click, just like that. And here we need to bin, this event and also the parameter. And what's the parameter? The server ID. That's the parameter that we're passing. That we're passing to this function, the server ID. So server ID. And let's save that, and let's reload this. See if this works. Okay, let's refresh. Let's inspect. Okay. Oh, of course. So we forgot to basically make this like these to work. So let's go to home. Then here, of course, we need to get the sidenav servers to be able to pass it here. So okay, so let's use, for this one, we're going to use use effect. Let's go to login. No, we don't have to. Let's go to app. Here's in the app. Oops. Oh, let me check. Yeah, no, it's not there. Okay, so we have use state. Let's just import it. Use effect. Okay, so now here, use effect. And here we pass the arrow, just like that. And we want to be able this to run. So once I just click, put the empty array here. Okay. And what we want to do, so we want to first we need to check for the local. Okay, because remember we for the get service for the service here, we need to get the token. So let's get the token. Local storage get item token, or whatever you call it. And now we need to let's import our service. Or get sidenav servers, right? Run services / servers, just like that. So let's copy our service here, let's paste it here. So now here we pass the token, remember? And in here, then, because we're in a promise, right? The response, arrow. What I want to do with the response, we're going to set the sidenav servers with the response, right? Just like that. Basically, what we do, when we render the home, we're going to check for the local server. We're going to get the servers, and we're going to set set sidenav servers here with our response, and we want to pass that to the servers now, so we can map it and all of that. Let me refresh this. Okay, let me refresh. And here's all the servers that we just created. And we click on that. It's now set in the. Okay, we're having a. Oh, is that a function? Let's check that. Servers nav. Process active server is not a function. Oh, okay. So we put a ground here. We need to. What we need to put here. This is wrong. It's the set active server alone, not the CSS, because here is where we set the CSS. This is basically here is a server. Okay. We need to put pros set active server that we pass here, set active server. We can just copy this one, paste it here. Just like that. Now we can refresh this. And as you can see, the overlay is changing. It is applying the active server. And that's basically how it works. Every time when we click on any of these one, we're changing the active server. So in the next video, what we're gonna do, when we click on any of these, we want to display the information here of the servers that we're clicking on. And that's what we're doing in this function. In this function, we're basically setting the server that is active. And we do that by passing the ID here to the parameter. So passing the parameter that contains the ID. We pass that to our props sec active server. And that sets that for all of these ones. And basically that's how it works. Because remember, we're passing the function here to our server's nav component. When we change it in our server's nav component, it also gets changed here. So server will get the new ID or the new active server update here. And yeah, that's basically how it works. That's what we did. If you have any questions, just leave in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.